Hard to believe, less than 2 weeks until Trade Center. We appreciate the patience and restraint the GMs have shown so far. There's Pierre LeBrun and Bob McKenzie and Darren Dreger's with the Winnipeg Jets, and that's where we begin. I think a lot of people believe if they go after somebody, it's a center, but you think that's not necessarily the case, Dregs?
No, we know Kevin Cheveldayoff wants to add a forward, James. I mean, if there's an improvement, if there's a better center available in the market, then he's going to consider that. But they're okay with Brian Little as the number 2 center here in Winnipeg. Top priority would be adding a top 6 winger. Now, they've got the Ottawa Senators coming into town at the end of the week, and it is an interesting week here in Winnipeg because the Jets play 3 times, the Moose play 3 times, so there's a lot of hockey in this building. It's expected that Pierre Dorion is going to come in well in advance of that game on Saturday, so he'll do some scouting of the Winnipeg Jets organization. And Mark Stone, a Winnipeg native, would be a great fit for the Winnipeg Jets, but what's the asking price if he hits the market? Cheveldayoff is willing to be aggressive. I wouldn't say he wants to go all in, especially if it means having to mortgage his future entirely.
Well, Dregs, and we've talked about, before that Vegas would be a team we believe that would have interest in Mark Stone as well, the Kelly McCrimmon connection. But what I would say is watch out for the Calgary Flames as well. Now, Brad Treliving, the GM, has not made any serious inquiries yet with all the rentals. He's analyzing the market, trying to figure out how he's going to game plan it. But I believe for sure that the Flames, when the time is right, if Stone is made available by the Ottawa Senators, will inquire to see what it would take to get him in their lineup. So some Canadian contenders perhaps clashing in terms of the services for Mark Stone.
The X factor always in this last couple of weeks before the deadline, injuries. We figure the Bruins will be a buyer, but does the David Pastrnak injury, does that add to the urgency?
I would think it does. Now, General Manager Don Sweeney, the Boston Bruins, said today, no, it doesn't change anything. But what else are you going to say? You don't want to tell people, advertise, yeah, we're really desperate. We just lost a first-line winger, first-line scoring winger on a team that was already looking for a second-line scoring winger or a third-line center. And here's the thing with Pasternak's injury. The Bruins say they're going to reevaluate it in 2 weeks. You know what that is? That's NHL team speak for he's going to be out longer than 2 weeks. In my books, that team speak gets translated as 2 to 4 weeks, maybe even 4 to 6 weeks. We don't know, but certainly more than 2 weeks.
Columbus remains one of the most intriguing teams, a playoff team, yet also with the situation of big-name UFAs, Bobrovsky and Panarin. Not much of a goalie market right now, so let's focus in on Panarin. What's the game plan here?
Well, several teams have fallen on Panarin, and the Blue Jackets continue to evaluate the offers that are on the table and the scenarios that could unfold. But here's the important thing to remember. They're going to be a buyer and a seller if all goes well for them, and it's a delicate situation. What they're weighing is their best offer on Panarin at the end of the day has to outweigh what they're willing to pay to essentially replace him in their lineup, because you're right, they want to win this year as well. I can tell you a name. They have interest in Matt Duchene if and when the Ottawa Senators make him available. So what they get for Panarin in a separate deal has to outweigh what they would pay for Duchene in terms of the outlying asset that would remain alive after those 2 deals. Otherwise, if it's a wash, then why trade Panarin? Why not make him your own rental? That's what the Blue Jackets are grappling with right now.
Makes some sense. Some movement in a couple of Western Canadian cities.
Yeah, first off, the Vancouver Canucks, they made their trade for a goaltender, Marek Marinette. They picked up from the New York Rangers for a 7th-round pick with Thatcher Demko on the sidelines, Markstrom day-to-day with his injury. And after Mikey DiPietro got lit up against the San Jose Sharks, they don't want that a reoccurrence of that. They were able to secure this goaltender from the Rangers. But here's the problem. Requires immigration paperwork to be done. He's got to get to Vancouver very quickly to do that, and that would mean flying in the day of the game against Anaheim tomorrow. They're hopeful of getting all of that taken care of. As for the Edmonton Oilers, Andrej Sekera is nearly wrapping up his conditioning stint in Bakersfield. This is a player who we thought might come up after Wednesday night's game in Bakersfield, but now it's looking more and more like it could go through the weekend. But here's the interesting thing. They've been trying to trade Petrovic and Manning, the Blue Liners they acquired a while ago. Hasn't been any go on that, obviously, and they need to move those guys out or put them on waivers if they're going to create the cap space for Sekera coming up next week.
No GM in Edmonton. Keith Gretzky, of course, will go to the GM meetings, but will he have company, Dregs, there?
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. Sounds like Bob Nicholson is going to at least go to Boca Raton and maybe not attend the meetings. He'll leave that to his interim general manager. But Nicholson may take advantage of the opportunity to speak to all of these gathered hockey people and continue to gather intelligence on the state of the Edmonton Oilers and, you know, the foundational work that has to get done before hiring the next general manager.
Good stuff. That is insider trading as we approach the deadline.